Hey guys, welcome to the stream. Hope you all have a nice weekend this weekend. And we are looking at our resupply ship. Okay, so this is the part that does the resupply. This is going to have to be linked to our trade window, which I'm going to bring up just now for you. Have a bit of a frog in my throat, but hey ho, we shall carry on with it. Okay, so where are we? Trading. So in our trading main widget, okay, I'll try and make this a bit bigger for you guys. We are now limiting the number of things that can basically be added to our trading widget, depending on whether the rocket buys the commodity or sells the commodity. Okay, now those are stored in a data table, and that data table is in our recipes. So let me just open that for you guys. In fact, it's not. Is it? No, it's not in there either. Oh, I'm looking in the wrong recipes. Okay, so this is our restock values structure, and from that we have built a data table. We haven't filled in much of it, but so we can do a couple more of these just to fill it out a bit with the things that will be purchased or not. So we have iron sheet, copper sheet. Copper sheet will be able to sell this and buy it. And we cut the name down to copper sheet. No spaces. And these are both true. So basically we're going to set the rocket not to sell bauxite or copper ore or iron ore. Okay? So it doesn't sell them, but it will buy them. And for iron sheet, we will say that our ship will buy that. So when we bring up a list of what the rocket buys, it should bring up all of these. When we bring up when it's selling, it's only going to sell iron sheet and copper sheet. Okay? Now there are going to be other things that actually affect this, like the buying probability, the selling probability, the restock probability, and whether or it's going to be based on a restock level and a max stock level and the current stock level. Okay, so basically we look in our trading main, and we're going to take our values from here and work out which things we buy and which things we sell, if it's available. We're just basically going to be doing a lot of ands. right? So an example would be, let me just do this. An example would be we'll need the current stock level and the restock level, okay? So if the rocket sells this commodity, the rocket buys this commodity. Hey Kofi, how are you, mate? Glad to see you back. You looking forward to the weekend? Right. So in this case, this is the selling, right? So what we shall do is we shall actually get this selling to ship, right? And what we shall do is make, yeah, that's better. Okay, so we know what this is going to affect, and this is going to be buying from the ship. Okay, and we're going to set this again to black so it's a lot clearer for you guys. Now this is where the fun starts. Okay, there's two parts to this. I'm good, Kofi. Looking forward to the weekend. Looking forward to a few more streams. Hopefully more subscribers, you never know. So this is where we limit if the ship is actually going to be prepared to buy from the player. So basically we're going to say if the restock level is less than the current stock level, then we're going to say and we're adding our and boolean in there. Then we're going to move this over to here. Actually, we should have had them the other way around. So what we'll do is we'll move this one to here and this one to here. Okay, so if the restock level, that should be actually greater than, okay, whatever. If the restock level is greater than this current stock level, so if we've got less on the ship than our restock level, then we allow it. Okay, so this gets plugged in here. Now there are other issues going to be affected by this, like the maximum stock level, but the maximum stock level is going to actually affect it when you click on the up and down buttons for buying or selling a product. Okay, so with that in mind, let's set up some of our restock levels. Okay, so if we click on the bauxite, the restock, let's say the restock level is 500, okay? And we can say the max stock level is 750. And the current stock level is 0, okay? We'll set this up also for copper ore. We'll say the restock level is 300. The max stock level is 500 and the current stock level is 100. Right, and we'll actually put this in here. Now, these are all going to be recalculated when we actually refresh the supplies. It's basically going to take all of these into consideration and then recalculate what the new value is. Okay, so what I mean by that is we're going to use the scarcity percentage, and that's going to decide whether we can actually restock on that item. Then we're going to have a restock probability, and then we're going to have a usage probability, which means that if you overstock, then that number will not come down until we trigger the usage probability. So if the ship uses the product, i.e. delivers it to somewhere else, then we'll use some of the product, and that'll obviously bring the number down for that product. Okay? That's the logic behind this. So if we set these values, then that will start telling us if we can actually buy or sell a product and how much of that product we can buy and sell. Okay? So the actual easiest way to do this is, first of all, let's check this out, right? So we have our copper sheet, iron sheet, and if we look at our yeah, that's what we should be looking at, but we haven't got it open wide enough. So you can see here that these are the two things that the rocket will sell. Okay? Let's have a look at that again. So we've got our iron sheet and copper sheet, right? And for this one we have bauxite, copper ore. Bauxite, copper ore. And you'll notice that iron ore doesn't come up. And that's because the current stock level is not greater than the restock level. Okay? So it allows us to buy these, or it allows the player to sell them to the ship, let's say. Okay? Now, if we were to fill these in for the iron ore, and we weren't actually going to do that, right? We were going to keep these at false for selling. So the only thing so the rocket does not sell bauxite, copper ore, or iron ore. Getting myself confused here. Right, so what we'll do is we'll set up these restock levels. So max stock, let's say 300. Let's say 200. Let's say one. Actually, let's make these a bit different so that we can actually see the difference when we actually click on the screen. Although, having said that, these values aren't used at the moment, so we won't actually see them on the screen, but it'll be useful for later. Okay. So, if we have a look at this again, by the way, little update, 14 minutes gone, Crystal Palace 0, Arsenal 0. So we have a copper sheet, iron sheet. We have an iron sheet, copper sheet. So if we sell, we can sell these three things, which are these three things here: bauxite, iron ore, copper ore. Okay? So it only sells iron sheet and copper sheet, which is these two here. Okay? So the next thing is these buttons here need to be linked. So basically the bauxite is at 77, okay? Let's actually change that to 400. Okay? Now, what we need to do is actually start implementing this into the refresh the supplies, okay? This is basically what we need to do here. So we're going to stop it for now, and then we're going to take a look at our refresh supplies. Okay, so that's just our launch. The important part here is our refresh supplies. Okay. Now, that's clear the widget, and this is our refresh supplies. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to set this up in begin play. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a variable called struct restock values, and it's going to be struct item restock values, and it's going to be an array. Okay, now when we set it up, we're just going to load it straight from the data table. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to say data table, get data table row names, okay, then we're going to do for each, we're going to get that, then we'll move this out of the way a bit, then we're going to do get data table row, and we're going to plug the array element into here, and this data table is going to be the restock values. And now we're going to bring this in and we're going to add, and it's going to be an add unique. I mean, it wouldn't make any difference. And for those wanting an update, Arsenal have just scored from a corner, and it's Martinelli. Martinelli with the goal. Okay. So we're going to add our out row, and basically going to build up our local version of the data table, and then so we're loading our basic values out of the data table into our struct, into an array of structs, and we can now use it in our refresh supplies. So when we're actually doing the refresh supplies, we can actually use all the variables at our disposal. Okay? So we can save that. And now what we should, if we do this, make it available in the editor, okay? We save that, we press play, we continue. Now if we go to our rocket, okay, you'll notice that struct values. Hi Rohit, nice to see people from India here. Nice to see people from anywhere, to be honest. Right, so this is not adding to our struct for some reason. And that's because we didn't select this. Okay, so we'd select the restock value. Oh, kind words indeed, Rohit. So, we should be able to do that again. It should work this time. It's a good idea to actually fill in the right values. That always helps. So we can click on our rocket, and you now see that we have our 5 values from that data table. That data table being this one here. So there are our 5 values, or the 5 members in the array now. So we can now use those values to update and control what the ship actually supplies. Okay? So with the game still running, actually that's the wrong button. You'll notice that it's all working, which is a bit of a shame because I was hoping to see all the different products, because if we actually look at the resupply, you'll notice there's 17. Okay? Right, so basically there is one for every single product, right? Whether we resupply it or not. So this is actually going to make it easier to keep track of, because we're only going to be dealing in the commodities that are affected by our resupply, and they're in this table. Otherwise it's just going to ignore them. Okay? Which in turn will make everything a bit faster. So let's get this into our code, shall we? Let's use our resupply values to actually resupply. So if we go to our resupply, which is refresh supplies, okay? We'll move this as well back in line with something. Yeah, that black line there will do. You guys like this when you do this? Everything's got to line up, or you start getting right. I mean, it's probably not much better, but so as you can see here, our supply is just basically adding a random number between 0 and 100. Okay? And this supply is coming from a different place. So now what we want to do is get it from here. Now this is going to take a bit of getting used to, I believe, a bit of changing. A pretty monstrous amount of changes. In fact, it's just going to completely change, let's face it. So we're going to be doing a for each. And let's do this bit by bit, because it's going to be quite complex in the end. But if we do the usual, if we take our time, if we build our logic up piece by piece, we should get there in the end. So this needs to get deleted. This needs to get deleted. And now we're going to break this. Okay. And we're going to be using our item here. And this is going to be used for the set array element. Okay. And as you can see, or if you've noticed, we have basically now deleted that whole refresh supplies and replaced it with a new one which takes the values from the restock. Okay. And this item I'm never convinced by set members. We might use that, we might change it to that later, but for the moment we're going with this, okay? And you can see from here that we need to do some kind of a calculation, right? So the first part of this will be to check once again so if our current stock level is greater than or equal to our restock level, then basically we're going to do a branch and then we're going to be doing another couple of things, but in the meantime what we'll do is we'll say branch on this. As I said, we'll start slowly building up our logic here. Right, so if that's true, let's do a integer and range. Just as a little test. Random integer and range, okay? And let's say from 0 to 25. Okay, and then what we do is we add this to our current stock level. Right, I don't know why I did that. So we're going to do int plus int. Right? And we're getting that. Now, I don't think I've tried this before. I'm going to try something here. I'm going to write a function, right? And it's going to say, what do we call this? Let's say add and clamp, right? Then A, and that's just going to be an integer, single integer, and then as I said, this is just a little test. I want to try something. I'll show you what it is in a minute. That's going to be the same. And then clamp value, and that's going to be that. Right, I've just completely blew it because that's not really what I wanted to do. Right, what we actually wanted to do is add inputs. Right, so that would be a integer, B integer, and clamp. Okay, and then what we could do is we could actually add random percentage. Okay, now our random percentage is going to go into random integer range. Okay, and that's going to be the upper value. And then we're actually going to add this to this. Don't think we need B at this precise moment in time, but we might. You never know. Right, and then we're going to clamp it right, and that's going to be our clamp value. And then we're going to have a return value. Okay. And that will go in here. So we can save that. Now, this all might be for naught, but we'll try it anyway. So if we go back, oh wait a minute, need to do one more thing. Pure. Save that. And I actually don't know how. Right, okay, that's kind of what I wanted. Right, so what we can actually do here is plug in our current stock level, then clamp it to there, and then we can plug in our restock probability into there. Right, now that's not quite how this should work, right? But this should plug into current stock level. We can delete this out. Now, what it should actually be, the clamp number, or sorry, the return percentage, okay? So this is actually going to be 1 to 100, So we get a number between 1 and 100, okay? And if that is less than that, our return value then we branch this still stays the same, right? But now we kind of now need a new variable in our struct, unless we've got something that actually suits the purpose. Let's take a look at our struct. So we've got, these are the prices, okay? So we're not too bored about them at the moment. We've got scarcity percentage, buying, selling, probability. Here's the restock probability. Right, we need something else. Okay. So let's create it. So we need restock quantity min. Or we could just say have a restock quantity max, right? Right, we make that an integer. And then what we can do, right, let's just leave it there for now. So we can save that. Still 1-0 to Arsenal, by the way. Right, so if we go back to our rocket, and we change B, right, to be restock quantity, right, and we can change this to be the current stock. Okay, we'll tie this up in a second. So we basically roll a random number and say, right, if a random percentage is less than the random number we rolled, then we can add numbers to our value. And what we can do now, right, I'm going to tidy it up at the end. And this will go in false. And it will come off our current stock. So we just pass back the number that it already was. Okay? But if it's true, then we get a random number in range again. And the maximum is the maximum restock quantity. We can delete this And then this, we add that. And then we clamp that. So if it goes over, what we can do is save that, and we shall rename this to be Restock level. Right, and that goes in a restock level. That's fine, that's fine, that's fine. There we go. So let's tidy this up a bit somehow. We can drag this up a bit. This becomes a bit of an issue. Okay. So this is not what we want in here. We want to get this maximum number here. And then we've got to add it. And this goes in here, then this goes in here. And that's a bit better. Okay. So what we're doing is return at this. We need to really rename this. So this is going to be refresh current stock. Now, before we actually even do this, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to see if the ship has actually used any. And by used, I mean within the idea of the game, it's basically the ship leaves and then comes back. So if in fact the ship sells some to somebody else or uses it in the world or whatever, then that's the concept here. So hopefully that makes some kind of sense. Okay. Just a little update, guys. It's half time and 1-0 to Arsenal. Goals from a corner. Pretty straightforward. Okay. So now we have that in the bag, and we can go back to our event graph, and you can see now we refresh current stock, but we're basically going to have to check to find out if we have actually done that. So what we can do at this point is we can go back to our stock values and fill in our quantity restock max. So if we say 50 for everything at the moment, then the maximum that they're going to actually restock is 50. Okay, so you can look at it this way. If the ship starts with nothing, okay? If the ship starts with nothing, it's going to take it, let's say this was, okay, let's say this was 0, okay, for the current stock level, right? Now, that being the case, we would need the ship to make 4 trips, and for the player to do no interaction, remember, because if he sells you above the stock level, then it's not going to replenish the stock level. It's just going to say, right, we're not doing anything, right? And then if the ship doesn't use any, then what's going to happen is it's not going to buy any. Okay? So that's the thought behind the restocking, etc. Now, I think it's a good time for me now to have a short cigarette break and a drink of orange. I suggest you guys do the same, and I shall be back in about 2.5 to 3 minutes. See you guys then. Okay, we're back. Let's get this off the screen. And now, what we're going to do is we need this restock probability for if we're going to restock at all. We're not using that yet, but we are going to use it. Then we're going to use the scarcity percentage as well. So all of these values are going to go into the calculation of how much to restock and whether or not we restock at all for a particular cycle of the ship. Okay? So, let's actually see if this is doing anything when we run it, because it'd be a bit rubbish if it didn't do anything. Wouldn't you agree? So let's try it. Oh, there we go. We have something. And if we click on our rocket, we have our restock values. Okay? But it's restocking none. Oh, wait a minute. It's restocked. Well, actually, I don't think it's done anything. Well, I think it may have done something, but not what we expected. Let's just say. Okay, so it's doing something. And the current stock is 0. Well, we may have to 0, 0, 0, 0. Okay. So, actually, in our event graph, in resupply, if our ship does not sell a particular item, if this, we branch, so if we don't sell an item, we don't even need to do this, right? So we can pull off there. We can actually do an AND here. Right, so what we'll do is, we'll do an AND. Right, and then this one can go in here, and this one can go, actually, this one can go in here, and this one can go in here. Then we can actually delete that and then plug that straight back in. So if we don't restock, if we don't sell this, then we don't need to bother actually adding this to the array. Okay? Now the reason everything is nothing is because I didn't set this up because I'm an idiot. Okay? So what we're actually going to do is we're going to try this. I can never quite get this working right. Right, so we're going to set the current stock level. And that's going to be that number there. And the struct out is going to go in here. And that is going to go there. And that will go there. We shall drag this down a bit just to tidy it up. Okay. So this can now go away. We are probably going to use more variables from that, but we're not going to worry about it from now. Right, so now we should not get any more values than 5. Right? And in fact, we should only get 2. Iron sheet and copper sheet, okay? So if we don't get 2 back, then we have an issue. Okay? What we'll do is we'll change these back to 0 for the moment, right? So the current stock level is going to be 0. When we set it up, we'll set these up as a random number, somewhere between 0 and the restock level. Okay. So we don't use anything else at the moment, so that's fine. So let's try this and see how it goes. We'll resume that, and then we'll check our rocket again. And we have 6 elements: copper sheet, copper ore, iron sheet, copper sheet. So that's not right. That is not right at all. So in our event graph, wait a minute. It's because right at the start we're adding everything. Yeah? Which we don't actually want to do. We want to take this out row, break it, get this, and if this is true, so we branch okay, then this can go away, this can go to the other side, okay, that goes to there. So we don't want to add to our array on start if we're not selling that commodity. So we are now down to 3. Right? We can check this in our detail. Right? So there's something still not quite right here. Okay? Because we only had 2. Okay? Iron sheet and copper sheet. But in here we've got 3. There's the iron sheet. There's the copper sheet. And what's this? It's done iron sheet again. Well, that's weird. And the strange, wait a minute here. Go back to our BP rocket, go back to our event graph, and this is add unique. Now, I can only, yeah, okay, I know what the issue here is, right? We're actually inside another loop at this point. Okay, so basically we don't want to do that. This was our original for our supply that we no longer want to do, and we are within the loop of adding the supply, which made it do it a number of times for our actual restock values. Okay, so that was the issue there. So the next thing is, I guess we should test it and make sure we're actually only getting the 2 values here. Oh, cancel that. Right, here we go. There's our 2 values. That's what we wanted. Oh, no, that's not exactly what we wanted. You'll notice as well that it's not actually picking up the values. I mean, it's picking up these ones, but it's not picking up the max stock level and the restock level. That's weird. That's weird as hell. How is that? Tell you what, then, right? Tell you what we'll do. We'll delete that. And what we shall do is add It shouldn't make any difference. And what we actually want to do here is have a look at this out row to see if we're getting the correct values back. Right? Because it looks to me like we're not. Look at that. It's got the max stock level. Oh, I'm an idiot. I haven't filled these in for the actual ones that they sell. Oh god, what a buffoon. The only ones I filled these values for was the actual ones that aren't in the list. What a dum-dum. Okay. Okay guys, in the chat you can officially call me stupid. That should be 300. That should be 500. And we'll make that 250 and 200. Oh, what an idiot. Yeah, you enjoyed watching the videos until I did something stupid like that. Right, so anyway, go back to our rocket. Now we are going to have to update our trading. Notice now we've got our values. Okay. Now these should actually change. When we refresh the current stock. Right, so let this do its thing. I think I've got too many refreshes, but anyway. We'll let this do its thing. I think it takes 20 seconds or something. Something of that nature. So has anybody got any good plans for the weekend? Any parties? It didn't refresh the current stock. Should only refresh the current stock when it takes off. Right, so it should do it at the end of this loop. Right. I think you're not going to do it then. I take it it's not going to do it. Right, so we're going to have to go in here. Okay. Step over. Step over. Check the values. Okay, we won't. Restock, max, current stock. What's the current stock? So I'm guessing this is just failing this. Yeah. Hang on a second. That didn't fail it. That completely bummed out. That just completely jumped out of there as if I haven't got a reference to this. Right? Because basically if I double clicky there and I double clicky here and we don't do any checks, right? If we do this and we don't do any checks, then we can see where we go from there. But this is a weird issue again. Right, so we save that. And I'm kind of getting the feeling that there's something weird going on here. In the meantime, save that. I'll press play. We get to our breakpoint, okay? Step over, and there it goes to refresh current stock. So there's something about that branch that's not doing its thing. There we have a restock level, right? So we can step over, and this is 0. I didn't fill in the restock quantity, did I? Yeah, they're all 50. The only two that we should be interested in is these two here. Restock level is less than the max stock level, and the current stock level is less than the restock level, so that should be okay. Okay, let's do this bit by bit, okay? We'll go back to our event graph. This is in fact garbage. That should go in there. So let's do print string. Okay. And we shall drag it in here. And then we shall check. Let's just check these values, right? If the restock level is greater than, it's the wrong way around. If the restock level is greater than or equal to no, it's the other way around. It's if the current stock is greater than the restock. My mind's not working. I'm having a brain freeze. yeah, if the restock level is greater than the current stock level, basically we're trying to do a true on this. So that should go like that. Okay, and then this we should put in there. So both of the, we should get two trues. Okay, now it's going to be, I'm going to have to change this because it's only going to show for about 2 seconds, so that's not long enough to see it. So that should be 20, and then run that, and then let's see what we get here. So we step over, and that's true. Okay, so that's true, and the rocket sells this commodity. So if the rocket sells this commodity, we don't want to do this. Right? So we'll resume that. This is going to screw up, but we do get true, okay? So that's a good thing. So the next thing is we check in here, and this should also be true. Yep, we get true. So why this wasn't working, I do not know. Well, actually, I probably do know. Because what we should do is check this to see what the value going in is and see what the struct coming out is. Well, we can see that anyway, but let's see. Okay, so we can resume that, and now we have our first struct. And at this point, everything is nothing. Okay, if we step over, that's cool, that's what we want. Our restock quantity is 0. Our current stock level is 0. So it's possible we added nothing. I'm not buying that. Goofball. Notice this should be in here. So it's basically getting a random number between 0 and 0. Right, so what we want to see from this as we remove breakpoints, right, there we get the 50. So we're going to get that between 0 and 50. That's fine. That's what we want. So if we disable that breakpoint, what should happen here is disable that breakpoint. Yeah, okay, resume. What we should see here is our current stock levels going up until they basically reach the restock level. Okay, and that's going to happen every 20 seconds or so. So this is at 16, this is at 1. Better make sure we've not got any other. No, we've got 2. That's gone to 38. That's gone to 12. So we can see that we are actually updating our stock levels. That was at 12 and 38. Now, how that goes down, I don't know. Oh, sorry, Orari. I didn't see when you actually posted that comment. I got that sorted out. It's just the fact that it was a loop within a loop, which which was basically redundant code. Yeah. So, yeah, I kind of know why this is doing this, right? And that's because the current, let's see, we're getting the current stock and the only place it's going is there. So in actual fact, we can do this in 2 different places. Well, yeah, we can do this in 2 different places. But we shall do it here. It's going to be basically the current stock level plus this. So that is going to go in there. And that goes to there. Right. Now we're making a bit more progress. Have I seen you around here before on that area? I seem to recognise that name. I don't know if I do or not. Maybe I'm just hallucinating. Don't know. Right, we'll cancel that for the moment, right? We keep losing track of what we're doing. So we've got 5, we've got 44. These should only go up, and they should only go up to 200 and 300. I should maybe have set these lower, but anyway. $41.55. Still 1-0 to Arsenal, by the way. When I thought about it when I was having a cigarette, I thought it's probably a bad idea to talk about the football because it's going to date. It's obviously going to date the video. Plus, of course, there's people that aren't interested in football, so which is fair enough. Right, so at 58. I'm hoping that's 83, 93. Right, so this needs big numbers. I know this is me just wasting time, by the way, because I could actually make the current stock number up to like 100 or whatever, but we'll just take a little breather, shall we? We're at 109. I don't think this is going to work. I don't think this is going to work at all. There's a slight error to the logic here, which... Right, I'm going to have to stop it because it's not going to work, right? The error to the logic here is... if this is the one that should be clamped, it shouldn't be clamped in the other, in the function. Okay. Because what it's doing is it's just bringing back a number to add, right? So we don't need the clamp inside that particular, inside here. We don't need this, right? Because this number, we're adding the restock level. Yeah, this is just nonsense. So we're getting the restock quantity, we're getting a random number of that. We're getting the restock level, and then we don't need to actually clamp that. Okay. So if it fails, we're bringing this is, see, this is just totally wrong. This is just totally wrong. We get the current stock, okay? Then we get a random number from the restock quantity. Now we do need this if we use it for this, okay? So let's do this properly. So basically, this gets added to our current stock. Okay? This gets added to our current stock. And then we should clamp it. And now this should be clamped to our restock level. Okay? So that makes a whole lot more sense, don't you think, guys? Gals, whoever. then this is the value that we return. And that gives us our clamped value back. So in our event graph, we can now go back into here and we can remove this part, and then we can just plug this straight back in here. Okay, we can delete this print string, we can delete our reroute nodes, and we can plug it straight back in directly. Right, then we can tidy this back up a bit. We can delete that, and that's a bit better. We can save that. We can go into our restock values, and the 2 at the bottom here, we can change that to 100 so that it does it. In theory, it'll do it a bit faster. I mean, it's a random number, so that's not necessarily going to be the case. But we can save that. We can play go. Right, so if we now look at our rocket, we've got 53 and 18. Okay, and these can go up 100 at a time, so it shouldn't take us long before these reach the restock level. And once they do, we're going to be fine. It's up to 61. That's it. 121. So as I was asking, guys, anybody got plans for the weekend? Anything nice? It's wedding season. Is there not any weddings going on? Right, so what we got? We've got 216, 159. Then we've got 224 and 200. There we go, it's hit 200, so it's stuck at 200. And it should not go above 200. This one should reach 300, and it should not go above 300. That's now 248, that's still at 200. That's exactly the value that we hoped for. That's now hit 300 and it's stuck at 300. So the current stock level is 300. Excellent. So that's working as intended for this particular part of it anyway. So we can stop that for now. We can probably maybe even optimize this just a tad more. If we check our rocket now, yep, so that's good. So it's not even doing anything. It's not even getting to the, do this, because it's basically breaking out before branching off. So that's good. So now we have to change everything in here in our trading, okay, to match the actual supply in the ship. At the moment, we are using, if we go to the code here, let's see what we've got, and this is the ship inventory, right? So we're basically going to be changing this out, because at the moment it's this, and it's going to change to the restock values, right? So let's just commence with that, right? We're going to break everything, but then we're going to fix it again. So that is going to be restock as I said, guys, this is going to break everything. Look at all the breaks we've done. Okay, and there's no way that this, yep, there we go. So what we need to do here is we're going to need to do fill grid first, right? And the fill grid is going to be restock as well. And then that's obviously not going to like it at all. Then we're probably going to find that it's not going to like this part either. But you'll notice that we're doing a get restock values here. So in actual fact, we can use our restock values. So this is going to be, well, basically we're going to have to do our for next again. Arsenal are 2-0 up, by the way. Let's see what happens here. That looks like Partey, then Saka. Saka doing what he always is. Oh, it's an own goal. It's an own goal. So we're getting restock values, right? And we are basically saying this is going to be the current quantity, the current stock level. Okay? And that might just be us. I'm a bit concerned about this one actually. Right, let's just delete that anyway, and let's delete them. And then what we'll do is we'll plug that into there. Okay, we can't. Apparently that's not the same thing. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll get these fixed up first, and then we shall make any changes that we require. right? So we've still got a lot of stuff here. Delete. Actually, you know what? That's why that wasn't doing that. Right, I'll tell you what we'll do. What we'll do is we'll do that. We'll do that. We'll set that. We'll plug that in there. Right, and that's us basically back to where we were. Okay, so we'll save that. Gets rid of a couple. Okay. Right, we're going to have a think about this, because basically now we have fill grid and they're not the same values. So what we're going to actually have to do is create a second fill grid. Okay. So one's going to have to be fill the by grid, and one of them's going to have to be fill the save grid, the ship grid. So we're going to copy that for now, right? And that is coming. So this is basically going to be fill by grid. So this is coming from the ship. Okay, and then we're going to have another one that comes from the fill the cell grid. So I was hoping to move all this stuff down out the way. So in actual fact, I'd be better moving this up out the way. So on that, guys, I think I'm going to call it a day and work on some of this tedious stuff offline. I also have a video coming up for you guys, a tutorial video which I'm working on as well, which I'm going to have to try and get completed today, I hope. And with that, guys, I hope you've enjoyed the video. And I shall speak to you all again soon.